If you have an anxious attachment style, no contact feels like emotional torture. You check your phone obsessively, you replay old messages, you stalk your ex's social media, you physically ache for a reply, and worst of all, you feel weak for struggling when everyone else just says, move on. Well, today I'm going to explain why this is so hard for you and how to get through it so that you have an easier time staying in no contact, which means that you'll have a better chance of getting your ex back. But first, hi, this is Lucia with The Art of Love. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back or to get over your ex. And welcome back, my beautiful no contact army. Have you been a good little soldier? If you have, then you've stayed in no contact and you've also downloaded my app Silencio to help you stay in no contact. And the link to that is underneath every single video and podcast. And if you too would like to join our no contact army, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And to read our manual, go to nocontactsecrets.com, where you can read 2 free chapters before you purchase the book. Okay, so why does no contact hit differently for people who are anxious? Well, imagine that your brain has a built-in alarm system for connection. And for people with a secure attachment, that alarm is chill. It's like, we'll hear from them when we hear from them. For people with a dismissive avoidant attachment style, they're busy doing their own things, so they're not even worried about when they're going to hear from someone. But for anxious attachers, that alarm is a full-blown siren. Studies show that when you're separated from someone you're attached to, your brain activates the same regions as physical pain. That's why it feels like withdrawal, because on a neurological level, it is. And the reason you find it difficult to do no contact with your ex when you have an anxious attachment style is because your brain has been hijacked. You have an abandonment wound, and to you, silence equals I'm losing them forever. So if your ex gives you any type of attention, even breadcrumbs, your brain floods with dopamine, adrenaline, and oxytocin. And then when they withdraw, cortisol spikes, and this creates panic and craving. And then if they pop up again, your system rewards you with another huge neurochemical high. Now, this is known as intermittent reinforcement or positive partial reinforcement, which I talked about in a video that I made a long time ago. And if I can find it, I will place the link in the upper right-hand corner on YouTube. And it's also the reason why slot machines are so addictive, except that you're not addicted to a machine, you're addicted to your ex. And you can't stop pressing that button on that machine, so to speak. So every time you text them, call them, or attempt to reconnect, you're hoping to win the jackpot. You're hoping to get them back. However, similar to gambling, you get enough small wins to keep you hoping. But the most dangerous part of this is that your brain interprets their intermittent reinforcement, their hot and cold, their unpredictability, as interest. And you learn this pattern as a child when love was unpredictable and it often had to be earned. So it feels familiar and it feels safe because it reflects your earliest experiences with love. And so every time they respond, you think that this time it's going to be different and this time they'll come back. But the fact is that addicts always think that the next hit is going to be the one that satisfies them, but it rarely is. So this isn't about willpower. It's about your nervous system being stuck in a loop that says, if you just try harder, they'll come back. However, as usual, when it comes to matters of the heart, the best thing to do feels counterintuitive. Here's the paradox. The more you feed the anxiety with contact, the worse it gets. So every time you check their socials or send a just checking in text, you're telling your brain, this person is still my lifeline. No contact is the only way to reset that wiring. It's like pressing pause on the addiction. The stress hormone cortisol drops after 30 days of no contact. That's why the first 30 days are the hardest. And by the way, before I continue, I just want to mention that 65% of people who listen to me are not subscribed. So if I could ask you a favor, it would be that if my videos have ever helped you in any way and you want to give something back, then just hit the subscribe button. And I promise that I'm going to continue to work hard to put out interesting and helpful videos so that you will have a better chance of getting your ex back. Thank you. So I know it feels like you're dying, but look at it this way. What if this pain is your system finally learning that it can survive without them? So, how can you survive no contact, whether you're on day 1 or day 30 or even beyond that? Well, you have to replace the hit. And by that I mean your brain craves your ex because it's used to the dopamine. That's why breakups are so brutal, because the dopamine is instantly cut off when they break up with you. You don't always necessarily want your ex back, but you do want that dopamine. Give me that dopamine. Okay, fine, you got it. So to stay strong, you're going to need healthy alternative sources of dopamine to rewire your brain away from your dependency on your ex. So here is a list of science-backed dopamine boosters to help you through your withdrawal. There's a lot of them. So you're going to have to listen to this over and over again, but I will try to go as fast as possible. Okay, so one is physical movement, and that's the fastest dopamine fix. So exercise, even 10 minutes of dancing, jumping jacks, a brisk walk, cold showers. This triggers a 250% dopamine spike, which lasts for hours, according to a study by Dr. Andrew Huberman. This makes me want to go take a cold shower right now. Yoga or stretching. This releases tension and endorphins. Then we have the novelty and exploration category. So try a new hobby, pottery, hiking, learning a language, anything with small wins. Go somewhere you've never been before. A cafe, a park, even a different grocery store. Go home a different way. Listen to new music, because novel sounds trigger dopamine. Then we have the social connection without your ex category. And under that, we have phone a friend, kind of like they have on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So find someone who's safe, who you can text instead of your ex. And for my clients, it's usually me. And I usually hear from them when they've been triggered by something that they saw or they heard and they want to reach out. So luckily, they reach out to me instead, most of the time, not all the time. And I talk them down off the ledge, so to speak. Or you could also pet an animal. Dogs and cats, they increase oxytocin and dopamine. Next, we have the creative outlets. So write a rage letter and then burn it or delete it. And this is cathartic and releases the emotional charge around the breakup and around your feelings for them. Cook a fancy meal if you're into cooking. I'm not, but hey. So the process of chopping, smelling, tasting is rewarding in itself. Or draw, paint, or color. Even if you don't know what you're doing, just do it. Then we have small wins. And we start with tiny goals. So instead of 30 days no contact, start with an hour, then a day. Your brain needs proof that you can survive without your ex. And that's why people love the counter on my Silencio app, because it shows how many days that they've been in no contact and they feel like they're making progress. I was actually surprised that people said, wow, this counter is so helpful. I'm like, it is? I mean, we knew it was going to be helpful. We didn't know it was going to be that helpful, but that's because I don't have anxious attachment. So then we have video games. So short-term wins can help, but don't overdo it and start becoming addicted to video games. We don't want to trade one addiction for another. Or if you are going to trade one addiction for another, make it a good addiction, like working out. Next, we have sensory pleasures. No, it's not what you think. There's dark chocolate. There's essential oils, and apparently citrus scents like orange boost dopamine. And then we have the weighted blanket that I keep hearing about. And that's because deep pressure calms the nervous system. Under the mindfulness and anticipation category, this is long-term dopamine. You can plan a future trip, and even if it's imaginary, anticipation is actually 50% of dopamine. There's gratitude journaling, and that shifts the focus from lack to abundance. And of course, meditation, which I have talked about endlessly, and that's because it increases your dopamine receptors over time. So keep in mind that you're not depriving yourself of your X. You're detoxing to make space for better dopamine sources. And you can even dopamine stack. So that means that you combine 2 or 3 of these things. So go for a walk, call a friend, and listen to new music. Hey. So this isn't about getting over your ex. It's about proving to your body that you're safe, even when your ex is silent. And if you're listening to this, you're already doing the work. People with an anxious attachment style have a great capacity to love, but that love needs to be reciprocated, not negotiated. So stick with no contact, and one day you'll realize the silence doesn't scare you anymore, and that's when you'll know that you're healing. So now I want to hear from you. How long have you been in no contact, and how is it going? And in the meantime, if you would like my help to get your ex back, so that I can talk you down off the ledge, then you can contact me regarding coaching at theartoflove.net/coaching, and we will send you the rates. They're not on the website. And if you don't hear back, it's because our email probably ended up in your spam folder, or you just didn't get it at all, especially if you're Gmail. So then wait 24 hours and reach out again, hopefully with another email. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe. If you're listening to this as a podcast and you want to help the show, then just download the episode. And finally, remember, love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.